Mom! You chose to be disrespectful, and this is your consequence.
The movie explores an unsettling true story, blurring reality and embellishment. Brace yourselves to explore a chilling tale, but beware, the real events are even more unsettling than this dramatized rendition. The movie starts with Dawn, hands tightly gripping the wheel, racing to the hospital. In the back seat, Sarah clutches her older daughter Marie, panic etched across her face as Marie stops breathing. The urgency escalates. Upon arrival at the hospital, the doctors, face tense, frantically try to revive Marie. Yet the monitor's ominous display reveals silence, no heartbeat. The clock rewinds, unraveling the mysterious threads of this family's past, transporting us back 20 years. The 2021 Lifetime movie Girl in the Basement unveils the chilling and true 1984 story of Elizabeth Fritzl, imprisoned by her father Joseph in Amstetten, Austria. Locked away for 24 years in the basement of her family home, Elizabeth endured unspeakable abuse at the hands of her deranged father.
I was born to rape, and I held myself back for a relatively long time. I could have behaved a lot worse than locking up my daughter,
said Joseph Fritzl after being arrested. Elizabeth, the fourth child of Joseph and Rosemary Fritzl, courageously stood up against her father's aggression. For years, enduring beatings as a consequence. After completing her mandatory education, Elizabeth embarked on a waitress course and secured a job in a nearby city. It was this job that allegedly triggered Joseph's long-planned and sinister scheme to imprison her in the basement, in a structure he had spent 6 years constructing under the false pretense of a fallout shelter. Joseph lured Elizabeth downstairs under the pretext of needing her help to carry a door for the shelter, only to knock her out and lock her in the prison beneath their house. Many alterations were made to Joseph Fritzl's crimes for the girl in the basement. This is particularly surprising, considering the events depicted in the movie are already challenging to watch. Despite this, they managed to create a story that was less distressing than what actually happened to Elizabeth at the hands of Joseph Fritzl. In addition to changing their names, Lifetime's most significant alteration was introducing a romantic interest for Sarah, adding a romantic subplot to the story. Played by Stephanie Scott, Sarah Cody has a devoted boyfriend named Chris. Despite Sarah's father attempting to deceive him by claiming Sarah ran off with her childhood friend Steve, Chris never loses hope during the 20 years of Sarah's captivity. In reality, Joseph led everyone to believe Elizabeth had run away and joined a cult. During her first 5 years of captivity, Joseph visited and abused Elizabeth daily, maintaining a haunting silence. Then came the babies, 7 in total over 24 years of captivity. In the movie, she had 4 kids, and Dawn and Irene adopted just one of Sarah's children. In real life, 3 of them, due to medical conditions, were chosen by Joseph to live upstairs with the rest of the family. To achieve this, he left the babies at the house door with additional letters, fabricated by Elizabeth, stating her inability to care for them. Tragically, one of the children died due to respiratory problems, and Joseph callously cremated the infant's body in the backyard incinerator. Lifetime also introduced failed escape attempts by Sarah, including persuading her father to take a baby upstairs for her mother to raise and hiding a secret note in the baby's basket. Unfortunately, her father discovers the note, leading to sexual abuse. Sarah tries another escape by digging a hole in the ceiling and signaling for help with a flashlight. Unfortunately, a neighbor spots the signal, alerts her father, and she is beaten. This incident leads to a heartbreaking miscarriage of her unborn 4th child. These added escape attempts contribute tension and conflict, but some may find them unnecessary, as if Lifetime felt the story lacked gripping elements and needed to amplify the plot. Stephanie Scott's portrayal of Sarah kinda races forward, leaving little room for the deep emotional turmoil she carries. Despite the passage of time, her physical appearance remains unchanged, leaving us with a sense of artificiality in the narrative's time jumps. The only tangible marker of time lies in Sarah's sudden revelation of her burgeoning pregnancy. Amidst this whirlwind, Sarah weaves a captivating fairy tale for her children. A narrative born from her desire to explain their tumultuous reality. She casts herself as a fairy princess, shackled by her malevolent father for daring to love a prince. In real life, despite Joseph's peculiar conduct, neither his wife nor the children and several tenants dwelling in the house grew suspicious enough to report anything. Even as he spent prolonged hours in the basement, forged business trips for nocturnal visits, and transported groceries and building materials downstairs, no alarm bells rang. On one of those nights, Rosemary stumbled upon one of the children, and shortly after, she received a call. To her shock, she recognized Elizabeth's voice, apologizing for leaving the child there. Yet, a chilling realization struck. It was a recording. Rosemary promptly hung up, only to have the phone ring again, playing the same recorded message. Alarmed, she dialed a social worker and highlighted a disturbing detail. They had recently changed their home phone number, a fact unknown to anyone. On April 19, 2008, 19-year-old Keston, their first daughter, fell unconscious. For the first time, Joseph acquiesced to Elizabeth's request and took the young woman to the hospital. The doctors were stunned by her almost transparent skin. Upon searching for her records, the hospital staff discovered she didn't have one. It was as if she didn't exist. Frustration grew among the doctors as Joseph refused to provide crucial information. As suspicions heightened, they decided to alert the police on April 21st. Repeated media appeals begged the mother to step forward with crucial information to save her life. Elizabeth and her sons watched everything from their cellar. Faced with his own declining health and dwindling ability to maintain two households, Joseph began to contemplate a plan to free his daughter without attracting too much attention. At the hospital, Elizabeth found herself separated from her father and confronted by police, who threatened her with charges of child neglect. However, Elizabeth had a story to tell, a story vastly different from what authorities anticipated. But she demanded one condition: never to lay eyes on her father again. Only then would she reveal the truth. Elizabeth was 42 when she gained her freedom. Another inconsistency in the movie is that Joseph didn't allow Elizabeth to accompany him to the hospital. However, in reality, after a week, he released Elizabeth and allowed her to join him, leading to Joseph's arrest on charges including rape, abuse, incest, enslavement, kidnapping, and homicide by neglect. Today, Elizabeth and her 6 children live under new identities in a secret location, while Joseph serves a life sentence behind bars. Like every movie based on real stories, this production has divided opinions. Some have criticized unnecessary additions, such as the incorporation of Chris's romance and memoirs. While it adds sweet moments between Sarah and her children, it introduces unnecessary filler to a real story that isn't centered around romance. The ending, with Sarah and Chris riding a motorcycle, almost seems to diminish everything Sarah endured, concluding the film on a notably happy note. Elizabeth's story is one of strength and survival, driven by willpower and the love of her children. While the Lifetime film depicts Sarah's love for her children, it may overly emphasize romantic love as the primary force behind Sarah's will to survive. Elizabeth and her children underwent intense therapy to cope with the trauma. They now reportedly live in a private Austrian countryside home with security measures. In 2021, tabloids mentioned Elizabeth marrying her 29-year-old bodyguard, but little else is known about their current lives. What movie based on real-life events is living rent-free in your thoughts? Let us know in the comments.